The first thing I learned working for a celebrity is that fame doesn't make anyone less of a mess, it just makes the mess harder to hide. The second thing I learned. Apparently, I was hired to be both assistant and babysitter. When I signed the contract to become Ryan Hale's personal assistant, I thought I was just landing a stable job after months of unemployment. I didn't expect my whole life to get tossed into the chaotic orbit of a Hollywood star whose face was plastered across every billboard in Los Angeles. Ryan Hale, the golden boy of American cinema. Every magazine called him untouchable. Every director swore he was the next big legend. And every fan screamed his name like he was some kind of savior. But the man who opened the penthouse door that night was not a god. He was a storm. His eyes were tired, his jaw tense, and the way he looked at me like he didn't have the energy to care if I survived the next 5 minutes was enough to make my palms sweat. "So," he said flatly, "you're the new one." The new one. Not the assistant. Not even my name. Just another temporary fix for a problem he couldn't solve. I wanted to quit right there. But rent was rent. And I had a mother back in Ohio whose medical bills weren't going to pay themselves. So, I smiled, swallowed the lump in my throat, and said, "Yes, Mr. Hale. I'll do my best." He didn't answer. He just turned his back and walked into the living room, where the city lights spilled through the glass walls like diamonds scattered across black velvet. And that was my introduction to Ryan Hale. Working for him was a war of patience. He woke up late, barked orders, forgot schedules, and complained about paparazzi even as he practiced his smile in the mirror for red carpets. My job was to manage it all: his calendar, his calls, his moods. But then there were moments. Small, unguarded cracks in his armor that caught me off guard. Like the night I found him on the balcony at 3 a.m. Shirt half-buttoned. A glass of whiskey dangling from his fingers. He didn't notice me at first. His eyes were lost somewhere in the dark skyline. "Do you ever feel like the whole world is watching?" he murmured. "And still, no one really sees you." I froze, my throat dry. For a second, I thought he was talking to himself. But then his gaze shifted to me, and the weight of his loneliness hit me harder than I expected. I should have stayed silent. I should have nodded and left him alone. But something about that moment, the way his voice cracked, the way the city lights reflected in his eyes, made me answer. "Yes," I whispered. His brows furrowed, like he didn't believe me. But then something softened in his face. He didn't smile. Not exactly. But the sharp edges of his expression dulled. That was the first night Ryan Hale looked at me not as the new one, but as if maybe, just maybe, I was human too. Our lives became a strange dance after that. By day, he was the perfect star, charming on set, magnetic in interviews, polished at every event. By night, when the cameras were gone and the lights dimmed, he unraveled. He was messy, insecure, brutally honest in ways that sometimes cut me open too. And I became the keeper of his secrets. But secrets are heavy things. One evening, after a long day of press junkets, he came home drunker than I'd ever seen him. I barely managed to guide him onto the couch before he buried his face in his hands. "I can't do this anymore," he muttered, his voice raw. "I can't keep being what they want me to be." My chest tightened. "Ryan, no," he snapped. Then his voice cracked again. Softer. "I'm so tired." Before I could think, my hand reached out. I touched his shoulder. Just lightly. But he flinched as if no one had touched him in years. Then he looked up. And for the first time, the mask was gone. He wasn't the star. He was just a man broken, exhausted, desperate for something real. And God help me. I wanted to be that something. I knew it was dangerous. I knew the rules assistants don't cross the line. But when his eyes searched mine like I was the only lifeline left, my heart betrayed me. I'm here. I whispered. You don't have to do it alone. The silence stretched between us, thick with things neither of us dared say. Then, slowly, Ryan leaned forward. His forehead brushed against mine, his breath warm, shaky. It wasn't a kiss. Not yet. But it was enough to set my whole world on fire. Of course, the universe couldn't let us stay in that fragile bubble. A week later, the tabloids exploded with rumors of Ryan's mystery man. Grainy photos of us walking side by side, my hand on his arm as I shielded him from a crowd. To me, it was just part of the job. To the press, it was scandal. Ryan's agent called him reckless. Studios threatened to pull deals. Fans went wild on social media, speculating, dissecting every detail. And Ryan, he shut me out. Keep your distance. He ordered coldly. I can't afford this right now. The words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I told myself it was just the job. Just survival. But every time I passed him in the hallway and he wouldn't look at me, felt like I was bleeding. I should have left. I should have walked away before I drowned in someone else's chaos. But the truth was, by then, I wasn't just his assistant. My heart had already chosen him. And that terrified me more than anything. Ryan's silence stretched on for days. The penthouse, once a battlefield of sharp words and late-night confessions, became a hollow museum of unspoken things. I carried out my duties answering calls, organizing scripts, prepping clothes, but it felt like I was invisible again. Worse than invisible. Disposable. The headlines didn't help. Every morning, I had to scroll through them. Scanning for damage control, Ryan Hale's secret romance. Who is the man behind the star? Some called me a gold digger. Others said I was just another one-night fling trying to cash in. The cruelest ones called me his dirty secret. Ryan never defended me. He never even mentioned it. And that silence broke me more than the lies ever could. One night, after an exhausting day, I found myself standing in the kitchen long after midnight, staring at the glow of the refrigerator without even realizing why I'd opened it. I was just tired of hiding. Tired of being something halfway between a person and a shadow. I heard footsteps behind me. I didn't turn. You should be asleep, Ryan said, his voice softer than it had been in weeks. I gripped the fridge handle tighter. Hard to sleep when the world thinks you're nothing but a scandal. There was a pause. Then, I never said you were nothing. Didn't you? I turned then, anger burning through the exhaustion. Because when the tabloids ripped me apart, you said nothing. When your agent threatened me, you said nothing. When I needed you to look at me and remind me I mattered, you looked away. His face tightened, guilt flickering across his eyes. I was trying to protect you. By erasing me. My voice cracked. That's not protection, Ryan. That's abandonment. The words hung heavy, and for a moment, I thought he'd retreat again. shut himself in his room, drown me out with silence. But instead, he stepped closer. "You don't understand," he whispered. "This world, this machinite eats people alive. I've seen it ruin careers, ruin lives. I thought if I kept you out of sight, I could keep you safe." Safe. My throat tightened. "Ryan, I don't need safety. I need honesty. I need you." For the first time in weeks, his mask shattered. His hand trembled as it reached out, hesitating before resting against my cheek. His touch was tentative, almost afraid. "I'm sorry," he breathed. "God, I'm so sorry." And before I could stop myself, I leaned into that touch. Because no matter how much he hurt me, no matter how much I tried to deny it, I still wanted him. But apologies don't erase scars. The following weeks were chaos. Ryan's new movie was about to premiere, and every spotlight was fixed on him. I followed like a shadow, clipboard in hand, headset in ear, pretending I was just another cog in the machine. But every brush of his hand against mine, every stolen glance, burned like fire under my skin. We were a secret, or so I thought, until the night of the premiere. The theater buzzed with cameras, reporters, fans screaming his name. I was standing off to the side, hidden behind velvet ropes, when Ryan stepped onto the red carpet in his tailored black suit. Flashes exploded. He was perfect, flawless, untouchable, and then stopped. His eyes scanned the crowd and found me. My chest clenched. I shook my head slightly, silently begging him not to do anything reckless. Not here. Not now. But Ryan Hale had never been good at playing safe. He walked away from the cameras, away from the reporters, straight toward me. The crowd roared in confusion as he closed the distance, stopping right in front of me. His eyes locked with mine, and for a second, the world fell silent. Then, without hesitation, he reached for my hand. Gasps erupted. The flashes tripled. Reporters shouting. Fans screaming. My heart stopped. "Ryan," I whispered, panicked. "What are you?" "I'm done hiding," he said firmly, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I don't care what they say. I don't care what I lose. You matter more." And before I could answer, he pulled me into him. His lips met mine in a kiss that was raw, desperate, and terrifyingly real. The world exploded around us. But in that moment, I didn't care. Because for the first time, I wasn't his assistant. I wasn't his secret. I was his. The aftermath was brutal. Agents called him reckless. Studios threatened to cut contracts. Social media was a battlefield, some fans furious, others overjoyed. The press swarmed, demanding statements. But Ryan never wavered. He stood in front of cameras, shoulders straight, and said the words I thought I'd never hear. "Yes, I'm in love. His name is," he said my name. Clear, steady, unshaken. And I'm not ashamed. The headlines the next day were merciless. But they didn't matter anymore. Because when the world tried to tear us apart, Ryan held tighter. And somewhere in the middle of the chaos, I realized something. Love wasn't about safety. It wasn't about hiding. It was about standing together, even when the world demanded you fall. Months later, The storm began to settle. Some fans turned their backs. Yes. Some studios walked away. But others surprisingly didn't. In fact, the honesty, the vulnerability, made Ryan more human to his audience. More real. And me. I was no longer the new one. I wasn't just an assistant anymore. I was part of his life. Openly. Unapologetically. One quiet evening, long after the noise had faded, we sat on that same balcony where everything had first cracked open between us. The city lights stretched below, endless and alive. Ryan leaned back in his chair, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "You know," he said, "I used to think love was weakness, something that made you vulnerable. And now?" I asked. He reached over, threading his fingers through mine. "Now I know it's the only thing that makes me strong." I smiled, my chest warm with something I once thought I'd lost. "Guess that makes two of us." He leaned closer then, pressing his lips softly against mine. No cameras. No crowd. No chaos. Just us. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't carrying the weight of the world. I was just carrying love. Because in the end, love didn't ruin Ryan Hale. Saved him. And somehow, saved me too. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.